Waldman is a novelist and essayist who was formerly a lawyer. She's noted for her self-revelatory essays and for her writing about the changing expectations of motherhood. She's written extensively about juggling the demands of children, partners, career, and society, in particularly about combining paid work with modern motherhood and about the ensuing maternal ambivalence. We're more than honored to be joined by the New York Times best-selling author of Love and Treasure, Ayelet Waldman. Good morning, Ayelet.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to be to have you here, of course. We'll just tell our viewers first that you do have Israeli roots, but you haven't been here for...
In fact, I was born in Jerusalem, yes, at the very end of 1964. But
you also made your exodus from Jerusalem.
Yes, I did. I haven't been here in 22 years. This is the first time that I've been to Israel in 22 years.
Wow. So I would love to hear your perceptions, but you're here also because of the International Writers Festival in Jerusalem.
Yes, at Mishkanot Shananim. And I came because I have a new book which is called Love and Treasure. And it actually has an Israeli connection. There's a section of the book that takes place in Israel, that takes place at Yad Vashem. There's an Israeli character. It's about the Holocaust in Hungary. And sort of it tells the story of the Hungarian gold train through different periods in time.
Right. So, which of course was the stealing of the artifacts.
The theft of the wealth of Hungary's Jews, which were then packed onto this very long train. I mean, we're talking about everything from stamp collections to diamond tiaras, stolen from the Jews of Hungary, packed onto a train, and then sent sort of in the direction of Berlin at the very end of the war. And this magnificent wealth. Some estimates up to $4 billion in today's dollars worth of wealth that was then turned over to the Americans when the Axis forces surrendered, and then the Americans had to figure out what to do with it.
So Love and Treasure, if our listeners and viewers don't know, it is a completely different kind of novel that you've written in the past, and it's a completely different kind of persona. You've taken on the Holocaust, a huge subject here in Israel. We can go on that about why literature is basically focused here on the Holocaust.
Yes.
But your first book, Bad Mother, was the nitty-gritty of
motherhood.
Of motherhood, and things that people perhaps don't want to hear.
Well, I think... Look, writers write about lots of different things. People think about lots of different things. And I think we end up expecting our artists to keep doing the same work. And as an artist, as a writer, you want to develop and you want to change and you want to take on different subjects. I have 4 children. So the subject of motherhood was something that I felt a pressing need to write about, mostly because sometimes I felt like the only bad mother in the room. Everybody else was so happy. They were making their own Play-Doh out of kitchen ingredients, and I was the only one who was feeling like I had sacrificed my career and I wasn't sure why, and I was frustrated and sometimes bored out of my mind, and nobody was saying anything like that at the time. And I needed, I think I wrote the essays that are in Bad Mother just because I needed someone to talk to, so I talked to myself.
And it's one of the biggest statements that you said, of course, that perhaps aroused the most controversy was that you love your husband, of course, the Pulitzer Prize winning Michael Chabon, more than you love your children.
Yes.
Something that you stand by today?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, wouldn't you love him more? Have you seen him? He's adorable.
I'm with you.
Look, here's the thing. I love my 4 children. They're wonderful. They're fabulous. They're the center of Michael's and my lives in many, many ways. But the thing is, your children will leave you one day. If you do your job as a mother right, motherhood is an unrequited passion. You prepare them for the world, for them to walk out the door and meet someone else and fall in love and begin their own families. The last thing you want is a child who loves you more than anybody else in the world and lives in your house in your basement till the end of time. And then you're left with your spouse. And the way Michael and I see it is that our relationship, the love we share, is the center of this universe that we've created, of our family. And if our love isn't strong, then nothing is strong.
So why does it irk so many people? I mean, when you explain it like that, it's rational. It's a rational explanation.
It was funny because, when I wrote this, I got a lot, like you said, a lot of angry emails and a lot of craziness, and I ended up on Oprah defending myself. She agreed with me, let's be clear. But you know what? I didn't get any.
She doesn't have children.
She doesn't have children. I didn't get any blowback from religious people. I was on Mormon radio. They loved what I had to say. They asked me not to say all those things I say about gay marriage, but they loved what I had to say about because the Bible doesn't say honor your children more than your spouse. The Bible says that your spouse is supposed to be the center of your world. And rabbis wrote me saying this is what we tell our congregants. priests wrote me. What they know, I don't know. But, but still, it's like, it was very, I don't feel like I was saying anything that was that revolutionary. On the other hand, we are in the throes of a time where women and men, but primarily women, have sacrificed themselves on the altar of this perfect childhood that we feel like we're creating for our kids. And it's unsustainable. But everybody's doing it. And it's, when everybody else around you is raising up this perfect child who never, whose needs never go unmet, if you occasionally prioritize someone else, your partner, yourself, then you feel like a villain.
Is it a purely American societal problem? Is it a very American...
Have you looked out your window? You think it's American? I mean, I feel like Israel is full of these, over-nurtured children.
Your book comes out in the same times as Tiger Mom comes out, of course.
Right.
Which preaches the exact opposite.
Exact opposite.
So
right.
It's a very...
I'll say, her daughter's at Harvard, mine's at Wesleyan. Maybe she does it right and I do it wrong. But I'll tell you what. I really do believe that disappointment is a muscle. And if you don't exercise it, if you don't regularly exercise it, you have no capacity to tolerate it. And I feel like one of my jobs as a mother is to help my children exercise their disappointment muscle. So I disappoint them as often as possible. And by the time they go out in the world, they'll be well capable of handling disappointment and adversity, and they won't be these little delicate flowers.
How have they handled it? Do they think you're the coolest mom ever, or are they...
Well, I'll tell you what. My daughter recently, she I can safely say this because it's not going to air in the United States, right? My daughter recently got a grade that I didn't approve of at college. It was her first year of college. And at one point she screamed at me. She said, "You pretend that you're such an easygoing mom, but you're just a tiger mom like she is." So, everybody has their tiger mom sides and moments. But I really do think it's all about, from the time I had my first kids, everybody kept asking me, how do I balance everything? How do I balance everything? And the one message I have for mothers, and fathers too, is that there is no balance.
Right.
There is only the imbalance that you are willing to tolerate at any given moment.
And it's interesting you bring up the balance, because next to the Tiger Mom, there's all the essays coming out, Anne-Marie Slaughter and so forth, of how can you do it? Can women have it all? Can they have careers and 4 kids and so forth, and a healthy marriage? Can they?
So you're asking the wrong question, first of all. So the first of all is there needs to be... The reason that I can do as much as I do is because I have an equal partner in the house. And I feel like it's incumbent... I used to think that my primary job was to raise feminist girls, but I don't think so anymore. I think I have 2 sons and 2 daughters, and my most important work is raising feminist sons, because I think it is incumbent on women to demand equality, and it is incumbent on men to provide it. So if you're in a heterosexual marriage, you shouldn't be doing all of the work yourself, which I think is part of the problem with doing it all. The other thing is you have to let go. So, for example, I'm here now. My daughter's bat mitzvah is on June 7th. And when I tell that to people, I'm not coming back till the 2nd of June. Everybody, their head explodes. How could you possibly be on book tour in Israel? And I said, look, there's a list. I gave my husband the list. I still have sort of better executive functioning than he does, but still, he knows what needs to be done. It'll either be done or it won't be done. She knows her parsha. She knows her drash. That's the most important part. Yeah. If the catering falls apart, the catering will fall apart.
It's great to have you come back less than 22 years later. It's been an honor to have you here, and good luck, of course, with Love and Treasure, something, of course, that goes completely different from Bad Mother.
Yes.
And we recommend them both. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here.
Next up are the headlines.